Hi guys, it's me Panda. I'm back to do another book review. I really hope that I do this one pretty well. I'm wanting it to be epic because the author herself is epic, and I just don't know if I'm going to do any justice on this book, but I'm going to try. So, today I'm going to be discussing The Sun Under Flowers by Rupi Kaur. Wonderful lady, inside and out, just radiates, okay? I love her to pieces, and I'm going to express why I adore her before I get into her book and the wonderful creations that she has put onto pages. She praises her parents, her makers as she calls them. She gives them credit, dedicates the book to them and her sisters and her brothers. I'm wowed because not a whole lot of people do that anymore. Now it's all about, oh, all my hard work is mine. I did that. Nobody else has helped me, guided me, or anything. Nobody else supported me. Me. She is all about everybody else and love and joy and healing. But anyway, love it about her. Also, I just kind of want to point out that she discusses more than just one theme in her book. There's all kinds of different things, and we'll get into that too. I just kind of want to talk about her first. She was born in India, Punjab is what I want to say. I hope I said that right. Moved to Canada when she was 3.5, 4 years old. So she has been through a lot already, even in such a young life. She does more than poetry. She illustrates her own pictures into her book. And that also kind of helps set the tone for her book. So not only is she artistic in the whole putting words onto paper, but she also can draw her emotions onto paper, which not a whole lot of authors and artists are all in one, right? I mean, there are, but the way she does it is very unique. So I'm just giving her credit for that. Nobody else, please don't be offended if you do that and I didn't shout out to you. I promise. Send me an offer for your book review and I will do that. So she does all that. I also really like that sometimes she goes by this term of Queen of Insta Poets, and I don't think that she gave herself that title. I think that's just something that some of her fans have said, or people on these talk shows when they bring her out, they call her this Queen of Insta Poets. So it's pretty cool. Check out her on Instagram if you'd like. I think she may have Facebook as well, but she tries not to get too much into social media for the mere fact that she thinks that social media is kind of a downfall for society, and I can't say I don't agree with her. I've been doing a lot of cutting things out myself. I can't even stand trying to get involved in some of these things, like Instagram and Pinterest. I don't know about Twitter. I have no idea. I guess I'm an old soul. I don't know. But anyway, back to her. She creates her poems in a way as to not have her readers agonize over each and every word. You don't have to sit there with a dictionary to figure out what she's saying, okay? She hated that growing up because she's bilingual. She had to force herself how to learn in school with English and, all these other things. But she had always had a dictionary with her. She doesn't want anyone else to have to go through that to understand her. So that's pretty cool. And she knows her poetry is not traditional, but she doesn't care. She did it for herself more than anything. Actually, she was in school, believe it or not, to become a lawyer. She wanted to become an attorney at some point. But while she's supposed to be studying for that, she was scribbling in a notebook these poems. So that's pretty cool, right? She completely changed her whole fate based off of a passion, which a lot of us strive to do. So let's just, applaud her for that, and know that that's something that not everybody gets to do. We don't all get those freedoms, right? She knows that people will understand it even though it's not something of a traditional nature. Her poetry and her books in general are just, they cover all kinds of things. This one in particular covers sadness, happiness, joy, everything that you can feel. She, she makes a comment that all of your emotions, they look the same in every culture. It doesn't matter where you come from, what country, anything. Sadness is still sadness, and it still looks like sadness. So, something to think about. We don't always think that we understand somebody else, even though they don't speak our language. We absolutely can understand them. It's all about reading the person, right? So, she's got a lot of intelligence that most people in their 20s don't. And I'm just thrilled to see that, because that makes me feel like there is hope for the future for our generation. And I'm not talking about anyone in particular except for my own children. I really hope that they have this future where they're as intelligent. Love them to death, no matter what, though. And her message, though, what she stands for is she just wants everyone to know she's here. She says, I'm here, I'm with you. You know, it's not just her experiences in these books, but it's also people in everyday life that you come in contact with. It's her stories from her mom, her aunts, her sisters, cousins, friends. You know, she doesn't call out whose experiences any of these poems are about, or, you know, any of that, or what they represent. But she places it as if it is all her, you know, so as not to shout out at anybody. It's their own experience. She's not trying to take credit for it. So she at least acknowledges that, right? I really like that she loves the microphone and it's not for attention. Not at all. I guess it is for attention, but not in the sense that, you know, like, look at me, I'm a shining star. It's more of because she gets to be the voice for so many people. And that affects society. That affects not just, you know, the little crowd around her, not just her friends that she's visiting with or whatever. That affects the whole room. If it's on camera, it could affect the whole world, right? So she loves that. For so long, she never had a voice herself. So with a microphone, she could reach many and be a voice for, you know, the girl down the street that we didn't know has been assaulted, or the boy down the road that doesn't think he's good enough to fit in with the football crowd because, you know, he's different or looks different. Whatever. But yeah, she really very much represents every single person. And she loves that. And that she loves that she has that power to do so. Because not everybody, again, does have that power. So she's humble in it. She's very hopeful that she can draw a crowd to disconnect from everything, like I said, Twitter and Facebook and all that social media stuff. Just be in the moment. For crying out loud, you've got air in your lungs. Do something besides get on a computer and, you know, not talk to people that are around you that you can actually have a conversation with, like back and forth. You know, she very much encourages reading, like I do, so I feel like we would be very good friends. Her book, Milk and Honey, sold over 3 million, and that was her, you know, first book. Her newest edition, this one in the collection, Sun and Her Flowers, last I looked, it was like 1 million in 2017. I couldn't really find an updated version, but I'm sure it's out there. I didn't look too hard, I will admit that. But yeah, in 2017, this book, this puppy right here, it sold over 1 million. So that's pretty impressive. It's only her second book. But yes, that's the fabulous author that I'm doing the wonderful book review on today. I really need to find some books that I don't like. So that way maybe I can do some criticism. But so far, all the books I've read, love. Okay, now that I've gone on about the author, our dear Rupi, I would like to go into the actual book review itself. So here's my review on The Sun and Her Flowers. The book's divided up into 5 individual chapters, and they discuss pretty hot topics. The first one being in chapter 1, it's called Wilting, and I think it pretty much just sets the tone up for your first initial process of falling. whether it be like through a process of losing someone through death, breakup, a traumatic experience of some sort, fear of not knowing what's next, that pretty much sets you up to go through this process. Like I said, the book's set up in a life cycle system, so it's a good visual aid how the chapters are set up based off their titles, wilting, falling, rooting, rising, all that. So anyways, that's the first step in her book. Going over how you slowly start to crumple up into this depression. Chapter 2 being falling as the title, that's when you basically hit rock bottom, right? It's the aftershock of all of it. Like, oh, how am I going to do it? I can't do it. I cannot do it. Reality sets in, and there's no turning back at that point. It's unhealthy standards that we put ourselves through. So she, kind of goes over all of that. Chapter 3 is called Rooting, and that's where you start, slowly finding some value within yourself in this whole process that we all go through. What truly matters is you. You start getting little tastes of that, not necessarily 100% understanding that you mean something and that, maybe you're worth examining yourself and figuring out what you want to do. That's where it starts to kind of, plant the seed, so to speak. And then, you discuss new horizons. You start exploring those things and just learning how to be in the moment with yourself. Tiptoeing into the unknown again. Testing the water, so to speak, to see if it is safe to become individualized again and to just be you. Relearning what you like and dislike. And then chapter 4 is rising. This is kind of like, when you see a flower first bud up out of the first layer of the Earth's crust or whatever. You see that little bud, and then as soon as the sunlight hits it, it's like within 3 days, the thing, that sucker is like this little bud that goes up to like this high, That's the best way to explain what that chapter is about. It's just taking that plunge. Once it shows itself, and it just thrives off the sunlight, right? We do this over the whole healing process, just with some time. It's pretty neat stuff. And I kind of like this little note card that I have to kind of cue me, because it says that right there. And I thought that was just really fitting with the book that I'm going over, right? I thought it was kind of brilliant. But anyways, back to the whole rooting on chapter 4. I think that the chapter is filled with many kinds of love, hope, inspiration, knowing that you are in fact going to be okay, and figuring out that you can love yourself and the world and others, love where you come from, your culture. Every little aspect of love and healing is in that chapter. And then chapter 5 is called Blooming, which again is pretty much no-brainer. By that point, you are completely healed. Well, maybe not completely healed, but you are able to completely open up and show yourself all over again and take another stab at life, so to speak. It's the longest chapter, actually, and it's pretty much the big picture of the whole book. And it largely depicts the emotions of reaching the top. Like if you were to look at it in a mountain climbing type view, it'd be like you'd finally reach that peak of the mountain. There's no need to turn back and regress. At that point, you've pretty much accepted everything yourself. Learn to respect yourself. That's the biggest one in all of it. Self-love. you regain yourself and which direction you want to go. Your footing, you planted your feet. I can relate to a number of the issues in the book. I'm sure both men and women alike can agree to it, even though the crowd is mostly women who can connect and read the book, because it touches a lot of bases that mostly women go through. But I'm not saying that men don't, because obviously there are men who go through a lot of things too. But this book, the very last chapter of it, the blooming chapter, it kind of I don't know, it's helped me see some issues that I'm currently going through with like work and the past and whatnot, with bullying, toxic relationships, even obviously abuse, being violated, those kinds of things that I don't really like to bring up, because I don't want people to pity me. But that's the brilliance of, books like that, like how Rupi has this one set up, is that it does give you that chance to process in your mind some of the things that you've gone through, and wow, you know what, I actually survived that too, and I'm glad I'm not the only one who is thinking irrationally and crazy in the whole process of healing. Maybe that is normal. Maybe that's the normal way to do things. Wow, okay. And it just kind of helps you. In the end, it gives you the courage to stand up and for yourself and respect yourself against the world, which is a very cold, cruel thing sometimes, right? The book format is simple. Again, I like that it only took me a short amount of time to read the book. And I read it from front to back, and you don't have to do that. It's, it's set up for whatever emotion or part of your life or your healing process that you're going through. So you can start at rooting or whatever, you don't have to start the chapter 1. But if you're going through something new and traumatic, I would start with chapter 1. This book worked well for me, being a busy mom and working full time and, running on very little energy. I could read I could read a chapter within 20 minutes if I really just sat down at the end of the day, while in bed or trying to decompress. But it takes you through many of the most basic, pure emotions. You'll cry and smile. You'll be angry sometimes, but you'll also, I found myself nodding in agreement with a lot of things in the book. All the illustrations being hers, she utilized it a lot, which, as I mentioned before, some of them set the tone, majority of them set the tone for what she's trying to relay out there into the world for her readers. The book's brilliant in that, all of her visual activity in the book, and the fact that she sets it up in something we all understand of a life cycle that we learn. I mean, that's the basic things that we learn in science as little children, is life cycle. The terminology, we can connect it to ourselves and what we're going through. At the end of the book, she has a very heartfelt message, and I'm not going to spoil it. You just need to go and get the book and read that yourself. And is very touching, I will say that. And I think that's what, when it actually hit me, that I fell in love with the book. At first I was like, oh, it's okay, it's a nice book, I like it, I'll give it a good review and whatnot. But it was at that moment when I read the message that she has in the back of the book that I said, here's another author that I like. I'm just gonna have to join her little fan club. Dang it. Another one. Where's my list of people I don't like? But you know, that's that. I have a very short one of those, but at the end of it, like I said, I'm not going to spoil that for you. You just need to get the book, and if nothing else, read that, and maybe that'll actually just be what interests you into just reading the book yourself, you know. If nothing else, at least buy the book for that message in the back of it. And, you know, while you're out, don't forget to grab her other book and make the mistake I did. Grab the other book, too. I'm going to have to go and get it. It's called Milk and Honey. I'm definitely going to be grabbing it probably within the next few weeks if I can find time to just go to the bookstore, or, I mean, I could order it online. I'm one of those people, I'm very nostalgic. I like to go in there and smell the books in the bookshelf, you know, flip through a few of them. I always end up coming out with more than just one. I just don't know why I didn't grab that one. I didn't think that it was a part of a collection. I thought it was something, you know, of a different book, and I didn't need it. But luckily, like I said, you can just buy The Sun and Her Flowers and do what I'm going to do and buy that one later if you choose that you like this author. So I hope that helped you in deciding to get this book, or even if you just go to the library and rent it, that's fine too. The last thing that I am going to mention before I hop off of here and go spend some time with my babies is I wanted to give you a few fun facts about the book that I learned while I was getting interested in her, in the author. She was so influenced and inspired to write that all of her passion being what it is in the book, she's actually been inspirational and influential for some really big people in the world. I don't know if you all know the singer Sam Smith, but anyways, he now rocks a tattoo of hers from one of her illustrations, and I'm going to get to that illustration here for you to see. The illustration here, he actually has this tattooed on his, I want to say it's his forearm, but I thought that was so cool because he's really inspired by her work as well. So that's just a fun fact. And then also, like I had stated before, she was going to college working on her law degree. She never thought that she'd, you know, be on this path of being a famous author. So she's very humble in, you know, who she is as a person. And it was almost like instantly. I don't think she really had to struggle on making the choice to publish the book. But that's the other fun fact I wanted to give you. She published her own book so that way, you know, she could just prove to all the publishers that turned her down. It didn't matter that they didn't believe in her. She still believed in herself, and her family stood by her. Her father and her mom and her siblings all believed in her, and here she is today, a, you know, multi-million-dollar author. So I guess, you know, that's just the power of believing in yourself in the end of it all. So that's all I've got to say as far as the book review goes. I hope that you guys enjoyed it, and I really hope that this helps get people to go and get her book and also become fans. If you do go get the book, by all means, or if you've got the book already and you've read it, or even if you've just, you know, read a couple of her poems online or something, by all means, please put a comment down on how much you've enjoyed the book yourself, or if it's helped you, or even put a comment if you didn't really care much for the book. I don't mind hearing about those things. I actually really enjoy watching people debate about these things as long as it's constructive. I don't want the negative issues or any of that. I don't want people hating on each other, but it'd be nice to see other people's opinions about it. So that's it. That's all I've got to say for this review. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. It's 4th of July, so get out there, do some barbecue, watch some fireworks, and enjoy your freedom. Panda out!